Hey, I'm Khadeen Ellis.
And I'm Devale.
And this is Couch Conversation. So Devale and I have been together for almost 16 years and married for almost 8. And we find ourselves debating about the same thing. So we figured we would open up the debate to other couples to see how they feel about these things. And we're going to bring the conversation to you. So Devale and I have been together for almost 16 years and married for almost 8. And we find ourselves debating about the same things over and over again.
Over and over and
All right, enough. We get it.
And over.
So we figured we would open up the debate to other couples to see how they feel about these things. And we're going to bring the conversation to you.
So pretty much this was her idea, right? And she thought that she was going to get a bunch of women to come here and gang up on me. But I ain't playing that. Because I got the fellas. And we ain't scared. So
Whatever.
what's up?
It's not going to be a guy versus girl conversation.
It don't got to be.
It's just going to be married people debating about what's our topic today.
Well, we're talking about marriage.
Yes. Is marriage a necessity?
Khadeen and I, throughout the past couple of years, have been debating about marriage being necessary. Like we said, we've been together almost 16 years, only married for 8. She feels like she didn't pressure me. I felt like I got a little bit of pressure. Anybody else here got any bit of pressure?
Well, let's have our couples here. I heard some most definitely. Okay, so let's just have our couples introduce themselves and tell us a little bit about how long you've been together, your names, and how marriage has been so far for you guys.
I'm Alisha. This is Bam. We've been together almost 18 years, married almost 5 now.
Oh, wow.
And it has been long.
Bam.
Bam.
I guess I could throw that out the window. I thought I was excited.
Oh, that's sweet.
It's been long.
Long and exciting.
Long. Because, it's been so different. I mean, 18 years is just a long time for us. It just changes people. So,
no,
absolutely.
Sounds good.
Yeah, it's been
And over to my left.
I'm Kelita, and this is... His name is Emanuel.
Say my name.
We've been together for 11 years, married for...
Okay.
3.
Not married
3
for.
years.
Oh, married for. Okay.
Married for 3.
Did you have to think about it?
She did.
You see that?
Oh,
You see that?
You
that
the
was supposed
woman.
to roll off the
It
tongue.
really
Don't
was.
get in
It did
trouble
not.
now.
She didn't want to say your name. She don't know how long
She
y'all
don't
been
be
married,
married.
bro. You see? It's because she distracted by your tight shirt. She flustered. That's what it is. She flustered.
It's what I do on a daily basis.
I see. And marriage has been so far? It has been
Eventful for me.
A learning experience. I would say that.
Absolutely.
Definitely learned a lot.
The reason I figured marriage as a necessity to be something that we can debate about is 2018.
Mm-hmm.
People are not really doing anything traditional anymore.
Right.
Nothing really conventional.
Right.
So you really can't mirror your marriage or your relationship after anyone. And if you attempt to do that, it's almost like you're setting yourself up for failure.
Absolutely.
So I felt like this would be interesting to talk about because marriage to some people is just a piece of paper. It's a contract. It's a big to-do to have a wedding. And I feel in my circumstance...
She's saying all my answers, too.
and some people just marry for love.
That's my thing. I don't think people marry for love, though.
You don't think people marry for love?
I don't think marriage is a necessity. And I'm saying that as a married man. I think marriage is a choice. You make a choice to get married. But what happens is people be in relations for a long time and everything be fine. And then the pressures from society and friends is like, oh, y'all been together that long. Why aren't y'all married? Right. It's like if we've been doing this and we've been happy and enjoying it, why is marriage like we have to do it or we don't really love each other?
That's funny. I felt the same way. Like I literally, because I was never around a successful relationship. Mm-hmm. So my parents not together. I can't even recall any aunts and uncles that were still married me growing up.
Right.
So my definition of like marriage and things was I provide for you, you eat, I provide security when I'm around. Like it was that type of thing. You know I love you. I ain't got to tell you that.
What was the thing that said, you know what, I got to get married?
I almost lost her.
I was scared where he was.
No. Almost lost her. I like that. Yeah, almost lost her. Almost lost her but from immaturity. Because it was like that mind state I had. I was kind of like, yo, like stick around, like chill out, like fall back. Let me do me. And we all right. But I never, even living in the house with her, I still wouldn't give her a commitment. I still was figuring out ways to kind of make it my own, like my selfish needs and selfish ways. So, you know, and then when I wanted to run away, I could run away. You know what I'm saying?
Because there was no commitment.
Exactly. And as man, you know, it's like,
Right,
yo,
right.
I want to move when I want to move.
And we lived a life of, well, let's just see what happens.
Yeah.
And there was just so much of that. And years were going by. Well, we'll see. We'll see what happens. You know, and we couldn't really plan. We couldn't plan for anything.
Why couldn't y'all make those decisions as two individuals living together? Why did it have to be, well, now that he's my husband, we can make this decision? Why did it have to be?
Like he said, I felt like he had these selfish, one foot in, one foot out.
Yeah, I did.
Type of, you know, he had that type of attitude towards it. So that's why, you know, we could never do those things that we probably both wanted to do, because there was another side that I wasn't a part of, and that he didn't want, you know.
Definitely. I think one thing that we need to kind of distinguish is that marriage and the wedding are two different things.
Absolutely.
I think people look at the wedding and say, "Oh, that's marriage," but they don't see the back end, the leading up to it. The one day is amazing. Personally, that's not necessary to me, because to me it's a show for other people.
Yeah.
But the marriage itself is a different ballgame. I think people need to kind of learn how to separate the two. You know, of course they relate to each other, but you know, marriage isn't happiness every single day.
Right.
It's a lot of hard work. With that being said, I mean, my opinion, I think it is a necessity though. My dad's a pastor. So, you know, in his eyes, you know, God, you know, made man to be a woman. And even beyond that, I know personally, without Kelita, I wouldn't be here right now, you know. So having that, not just that person, that friend, but that spouse who knows, I see you blushing, who, you know, really having that spouse who really knows you, number one, and truly supports you, you know, it makes things just a little easier. You know,
absolutely. I felt a big boulder off my chest after I did it. Like after I proposed, like I really, like, it was like, and it was, I did it when I was ready. Once I did it, it's just, I don't know, things in my life just changed. Even, you know, like a wise man told me, you know, once you find your queen, then life will set out for you. Like, in a sense.
I agree with that.
So you feel it's necessary?
Yeah, I do, because I mean, we got homes now where, you know, guys have so many different baby mamas, and there's no structure there, period. If I'm not married to her and I'm doing still that same mindset and I have 2 kids with her, now what is my daughter and my kids gonna look up to? You get what I'm saying?
But allow me to play devil's advocate, because some men carry that same immaturity through marriage. True. And marriage doesn't mean that, oh, now that we're married, he acts different or she acts different. Right. So for me, I just never understood why it was, okay, I just want to live differently as a man, so marriage is the next step. I feel like it's unfair for us to put that type of hold on people who are living lives that could be healthy. Because I've met couples who have been living together for a long time, and then they get married, then they get divorced, and they don't talk no more. Right. And it was just like, well, why'd y'all get married if everything was fine before? As Kay knows, my grandparents were dating for years, and they didn't get married until they retired and moved down in their 60s. And it worked for them. And I said to myself, just watching that, was like, wow, you know, it works for them. They weren't married. Yeah. They were still both very present in our lives. Why do we put this on people to act married? And I never understood it.
For me, it's a spiritual thing. So I don't want to take us to church or anything, but I feel as though once we actually get married, then that's when we're elevated to another level. We're able to fulfill God's purposes, the ones that he put in us individually, and then whatever we need to fulfill as a couple. Right. And in turn, we get blessings. Not that you can't get them not being married. I'm not saying that, but I just believe that there is a higher level of that. And I think it's necessary to get married.
We have talked about like the spiritual side of things. Yeah. And also for me, I know in the very beginning, Devale and I actually went to college together. Right. And it was almost like we were living together through college, through grad school, when he graduated, when I graduated, and we'd hear, oh, y'all just shacking up. Are you you're just gonna move to Michigan now all of a sudden and live with this man? And I'm like, I've been dating him for so many years. But one thing I did put my foot down about, I'm not having your babies until we're married.
And that was just something I was adamant about, you know? And he and it's funny because Ben had mentioned, you know, I'm immature, I'm doing my thing, just relax. We were in interpersonal communication class together. Do you know where I'm going with this?
I know where you're going with this. Go ahead, man.
We were in college together.
I was 19 years old.
We're having a conversation one day in interpersonal communication class. And of course, we're talking about like people and the way they think and the way they interact. And Devale says to our very feminist teacher at the time, you know, I really like my girlfriend and I love her. But if I'm not ready to settle down right now, I wish I could just put her in a glass case.
Man.
And just sit in that glass case till I'm ready. And I was just like, what? Like, what does that even mean?
It means exactly what it sounds.
Well, yeah, so that wasn't going to happen. You're not just going to put me in nobody's glass case to just sit and hang out and then decide when you're ready to do whatever. However, at the same time, too, if that was going to transpire, then I would have to live my life as well.
That's part of that
and
pressure,
then,
man, right there.
It's the pressure.
And if it's an indirect pressure, call it indirect pressure. But at the same time, too, I said, you know, I'm not going to have children, you know, without being married, without that sort of commitment, because I want my children to be raised in a household with a mother and a father and see examples of love, because that's ultimately where it starts with children. They have to see that at the core, at the base when they're kids,
True.
you know? So that was funny when you mentioned that. Like, I just wanted to chill because he wanted me to chill too. And I was like, well, I'm not
perfect
chill.
analogy,
because to me, I was being honest, all right? At 19 years old, I don't know anything about monogamy. I don't know how to be an adult. I'm 19. I lived with my parents my whole life. I don't even know how to commit to going to class on time, let alone commit to being through another human.
She was so mature like that too.
You know what I'm saying? Like I didn't get that type of maturity.
I ran away from it, dog.
Right. So for me, it's like I don't want to hurt you. I don't want to be the bad guy and lose or miss out on something that could be great for me. Because I also want to live my life. It's my life. I'm entitled to live my life. And what I didn't want to do is I didn't want to be the type of guy who just did a bunch of shit on the side. I wanted to be honest. But let's be real. Women can't always take honesty when a man's being honest. I'll give you a perfect example. If a man is 19 years old and says, I want to be with you, but I also want to explore life. They say, why are you being so immature? Why you can't be with one woman? Right?
Yeah.
So if a man tries to be with one woman and he cheats, why are you so immature? I tried to do it your way. It didn't work out. So it's like, I feel like I couldn't be right, even if I was trying to be right. I can't make a mistake. If I make a mistake, then I'm immature and I'm a human. So I want to experience other things. So I said the analogy, and of course, everybody trashed me. But that's just how I felt.
Bro,
that's how I felt.
I feel like it's a mirror right here, bro. I swear to you. Like that's exactly
how men
I
feel.
Felt, man.
See, I wish I had done that. I did it. I did that, but I did it after we got engaged. Because I didn't want to tell that harsh truth. Like, I'm really not ready.
Right.
And it's hard. But, you know, so...
Because I wasn't ready neither, bro. Exactly. When I got engaged, I wasn't ready.
Right. But my mistake was waiting until after we got engaged and say, hey, I'm not ready. And that was a very hard conversation.
But and you got engaged because you didn't want to lose her.
Yes, I don't want to lose her. I do feel like God has put us together. And I also feel like, you know, just being honest, you know, when I envisioned, you know, my future, my path, it didn't feel right with her not in it.
Absolutely.
You know? But at the same time, I was young, you know, and
yeah, I get it, bro.
I wasn't ready.
Listen, I get it. It's honest. And a lot of times that we don't have these conversations as men in front of women.
Yeah, absolutely.
So when a man says these things, women who are not in relationships with men, they'll be like, oh, he a dog, he's this and that. Yeah. But let me explain something to you. If a man is telling you that you're the only woman he's ever been with, he ever wants to be wherever in life, if he never thinks about being with other women, that means she's just lying to you.
True.
But the thing is, we struggle with telling you the truth because we fear that you run from that. Yeah. And it's wrong. I'm not going to say it's right, it's wrong. But sometimes you'd rather lie in hopes that you can hold on to her and then do it on the side rather than tell the truth. And for me, when I look at marriage, I feel like people put these crazy expectations on married people that you're not allowed to try to live your life. So why are we rushing to marriage? We dated for 2 months. Oh, y'all perfect for each other. Why don't y'all get married? God damn. You know what I'm saying? Like, God, can we
Well, I think my adult self hears you, and I understand. I totally agree with everything that you said and how you felt as a 19-year-old. And I feel like me as a 19-year-old, I wish I was mature enough to get it.
To foresee. Same here.
I see it all the time. Like, I hear it now and I'm like, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Because at 19, as much as I thought I was ready to be in this strong, committed relationship, I didn't know what a committed relationship was or should be, or that's ridiculous.
Right.
You know, I was still in college.
Right.
I should have been focusing on that.
Right.
Oh my God.
When we were dating as 18 and 19-year-olds, you know, you're so engulfed in each other and you think you know everything and you have it all figured out. I forgot the analogy you came up with. It's like in your 20s, you think you know everything. In your teens, you think you know
from 15 to 20, you think you know everything.
Right.
From 20 to 25, you know everything.
Right.
From 25 to 30, you realize you ain't know shit.
Right.
And then at 30,
Then
you
you
fixing
kinda, like,
all the
figure
stuff
out
that you'd have thought you knew
Exactly.
from the time you was 15.
Exactly.
That's
And it's like his mom used to always say, but you two are individuals.
my mother
Work
knew.
on
My mother knew early.
yourselves. Work on yourselves. And that might be in part because your parents married really early too.
Yeah,
Your
my parents got
were
married at 20,
20 and 21. So it's almost like she was seeing herself happen all over again.
Yeah.
You know, as parents, you try to prevent your kids from making the same mistakes or maybe just, uninformed decisions that you made.
Right.
So it was funny that she used to always say that to us because, like you said, now a 19-year-old mind, a 29-year-old mind are two completely different things. But I do think that there's something really special about people who can grow through that.
Yeah.
Which is what I think all three of us have in common here.
Right.
Yeah.
But I'd be remiss if I don't ask about the conversation that you had with Kelita after you were engaged.
The most terrifying thing I ever done. I proposed in October of 2013.
Okay.
And around July of 2014, I started kind of thinking like, you're young. If you're not ready, you just got to tell her. There's no point in dragging her through this marriage and you're not even ready.
That was mature, bro.
Yeah, and it was extremely hard. I mean, we were actually in the car driving to a restaurant, and I mean, it was dark, it was raining.
She ain't grabbed the wheel and
She did. I thank God she did it. But I remember telling her she didn't hit me anything, man. And she, I was probably talking about it, but she was very mature about it. Like she kind of said she knew, So
we always
I
have that
let you kind of,
But you see, though, that's why y'all still married, and that's awesome because you were older.
Transparency.
You could be honest. She could take it because she was mature enough. And imagine if you'd have tried to tell her that at 19 when I told Kay, and I got all the finger snaps.
Exactly.
But I get it though. Like, that's dope. Yeah. I think that's dope.
I never asked how
So
you
you
feel.
tell, I was about to say, you gotta hear how you,
that?
what were you thinking at this time?
For me, I felt some of the same feelings that he was feeling. And
No, that makes sense though.
This your first time hearing this? This your first
I
time
think
hearing this?
you knew.
Oh, maybe I did.
So I was feeling some of the same thing.
So y'all was both getting pressure to get married and wasn't ready.
Yeah, and I thought I was ready, but when the engagement came, it's like, okay, this is getting real. So for me, I feel like boyfriend and girlfriend is different from being engaged, which is different from being married. So it's different levels, and you don't know it until you experience it, and you're like, oh, okay, this does feel different. So once we were actually engaged, that's when I'm like, oh, this is about to get real. I'm getting ready to plan a wedding. And I started having some thoughts too. Not that I didn't want to be with him, but just that
I get it.
I'm young, and I sensed it from him too. So it was kind of like in my mind, I already knew he felt the way he felt and I felt the way I felt. So when he told me, it was like a relief. It's like,
Okay.
I'm glad that he was honest with me, and I'm glad that he said it. So I didn't.
So you guys got married.
So we did couples counseling just to kind of help us to get there, talk through whatever we were feeling at that moment. And we had 3 options: to keep our date, to push the wedding back, or to not get married at all. So every time we went to the sessions, we would kind of recap and see how we felt. We decided to keep our date.
Okay.
But
Was
Sean
this
with
like
the
a
wedding.
collective decision, or was it like you
Like
take your
kind of
test here
anything
and you
might
take your
involve.
test here?
Today it landed on that.
So you get to the wedding day, you guys get married, great party. Divorce though, that came up.
Yeah.
How?
After the wedding, shit hit the fan.
It did.
Sound familiar, don't
Yeah, it did. So to sum it up, basically, when we were, apart while engaged, I definitely, got involved with my share of other women.
Mm-hmm.
And then once we got married, we learned that all the doors weren't closed from those past individuals, which brought a lot of heartache, a lot of drama, a lot of fighting, a lot of arguing, a lot of just hard, difficult days,
Right.
And a lot of talking, and we kind of just decided, this may not be the right time. So talked about it, discussed it, and then only 6 months into the marriage, we separated. I think it was about 8 months we spent apart. During that time, again, it got worse for me. I was a male thought. I really was.
He was a male
Oh,
thought.
really?
He was my.
It was it got bad. It got bad. But for me, honestly, I was ready to call it quits. I was ready to say, you know what, I'm done. I'm gonna just do me. But again, when it came to one big thing for me was that I realized my amount of patience and care for other women, I didn't have any. One thing you say to me, I don't like. Special. Exactly. If you say something to me I don't like, okay, well, goodbye. But her, I would be genuinely concerned with her and how she felt. Her feelings, And again, just there's a connection. Exactly. It's like, can I see my future without her? And it was not. I couldn't. So I'm like, I need it. I got to get it back.
Well, you said the same thing, similar. Like you just felt like there was a connection there.
Yeah, it definitely was. Like I got to that point where it was just kind of like I felt if it was anybody that deserved a better BAM, it was Alisha. It's sort of like when success comes. You know how you have success and it's like somebody that roll with you to the end, and then now you find this new success.
Right.
Then you find the success. You find the success, and then now this new girl reaps it. You know what I'm saying?
No, I feel you.
So and then I started just thinking about kids, family, and I was like, she's a wholesome person, like, and she's very loyal, and I know my kids have a great mother, and it was like the same thing with you. Any girl, anybody that I, entertain, if it was anything that I didn't like, it was like, whatever. Right. But I would take, but I would take whatever it was that she gave me. And then, even if we wasn't together around, if I knew how she felt, I felt that same way. My whole day was like, oh,
your stomach
up.
Being nice. Yeah, you be on the toilet.
You know what? And I want to say, like,
I know I've been there.
Even through the difficult times of our marriage, I bring myself back to saying he deserves to be loved. He deserves, so much for me. He deserves somebody to pray for him. He deserves to be happy. He deserves encouragement. And all of these great things. I swear, I was saying it last night. I was like, even though he drives you crazy, he still deserves the better things in life. And I want to,
it's funny. I wanted to ask the ladies a question. Why do women want to get married so badly? Because we had this conversation. I'm like, why'd you want to marry and why'd you want to marry me? So what was it like?
That's a very good question.
Why do y'all want to get married?
Hey, don't start with me first.
We already heard about BAM.
The reason why I say that is because what made you stick around?
I think even though we had our drama and all of that in the past, I would always say, but he deserves to be happy. He deserves a strong woman. He deserves, a happy home. Like all of these great things. I look at him, I'm even at a young age, I always saw that he has so much potential to be a great person. And he just needed some support.
Right? You felt like you can make him
a
greater?
Not that I can make him a greater person,
help him become a greater,
but that he deserved that. And if I am going to, act as a child of God and give out love, why can't I show him that? Because you know what? If it wasn't me dealing with his drama, I was going to deal with somebody's drama.
Oh, that's the realest thing that you said just there. Because I have a ton of female friends. And all of their female friends are telling them, you need to leave his ass. You need to leave his ass. Then they leave him and deal with somebody else's bullshit. And it's like, bruh. What you think? People, there's nobody that's not coming with bullshit.
You want the dark. What kind of foolery do you want?
It's the same thing with men. People be like, oh, your wife crazy, your wife crazy. Okay, I'll leave my wife and get another crazy wife. That's the realest thing right there.
I always say, if I argue with somebody, I'm going to be with her. I got to argue, right?
So, right.
So why'd you stick around with Emanuel? Tight shirt. He had to buy all new shirts after he lost weight. New shirts. Oh, you did.
Everything.
I felt invested. I felt that I knew his potential. I saw things in him that I don't think other people saw in him. And I was there. I was helping, just as he was helping to mold me. I felt I was there helping to mold him, and that I'm rooting for him, and I want to see his success. I want to see him grow. I want to see him to continue to be an awesome man. And I want to be there. I want to be right there to to reap all those benefits.
No, I feel you. You put the time in.
No, absolutely. And this is growing together. Like, and I don't think any of us, you don't want to be with a person who's not going to grow.
Right.
You don't want to be stagnant. You don't want to be sitting around with the same 19-year-old Bam and with the 29 or at 39. So that was a lot of the reason why too, I stuck around with Devale too. And, it's not to say that he was out there, running the streets all the time either, but we did have our moments too when we struggled with that, on both sides.
I even said to her, I didn't want her to have resentment marrying me. As much as it's always seemed like it's the guy, I used to ask her all the time, like, you don't want to talk to nobody else? Because what I didn't want us to get married and then down the line in marriage, she's having sex with the milkman. And I'm like, what happened? And she's just like,
they still have milkman?
Probably not, but that's why I use the milkman. We ain't gonna make it no live person because I don't want to look at the person. But I didn't want her as a woman to feel like she didn't exist in life. Yeah. So I felt the same way for her. I'm like, you don't want to go out and do X, Y, Z, and she used to be like, no.
Right.
And I used to be like, whoa, shit.
Right.
Like,
I mean, at that time too, when we were like younger and in college or in grad school too, it's like I felt like I was so invested in you. And it's like you said, it's an investment, meaning that you're not just only putting in, but you're also getting out. And that reciprocity is something that works in a relationship, and it makes you want to stick around because you feel like we're both rooting for each other. We're both helping each other achieve our goals. We're both doing this together. And you would ask, why do you want to get married? I think as women growing up, I've always thought of like the fairy tale wedding. And it's like you have the wedding day, and a lot of people,
said wedding twice. You ain't say marriage.
No, but I'm saying to say that a lot of your elders don't necessarily even prepare you for marriage.
They just talk about weddings.
They don't prepare you for what comes after that.
And I want to highlight what they said about going to counseling and things like that, because we did premarital counseling, and it changed us. Why were you against it?
I just didn't want to open up to somebody that didn't know me, and I was kind of just like, and I was like, man, I ain't doing no counseling. I just thought it was corny, but then after sitting there, after a couple sessions and really rapping with the lady, it became comfort because she started identifying things about her that I honestly didn't know. And it was like, damn, really? Mm-hmm. So as I started going in there thinking this is informative, like this is more informative than to, more of a pride thing. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And the biggest thing, it helped us learn how to communicate.
Yeah.
Period.
Because the biggest thing, like now, what I've realized between like our marriage is bigger than us as individuals. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? So that's where the compromising come from. That's why I think people run away from marriage, because it's just like any other relationship. You got to put work into it. And we don't have enough of us that's willing to put in the work, because everybody here have put in some sort of work.
And be honest about the stuff they've done wrong.
You know what I'm saying?
I have learned a lot today, actually, from you guys. The biggest thing I learned is what we always debate about is the importance of marriage, if it's a necessity or not. And for a lot of men, it is important into getting your mind where you need to be greater. But what I did learn is that the necessity doesn't come from that force you get from other people to get married when they want you to get married. True. We look at your situation and you guys felt kind of forced and pushed, and it almost led to divorce. You got separated. Right. You didn't force him. He ended up going through the process and figured it out on his own, and it was healthy. Right. And I feel like that's where we struggled a little bit, because I felt there was pressure. She pressured me a little bit. She was getting pressure because we were a little bit older and still living together. So I feel like that's why we had so many issues in the beginning of our marriage, because we didn't go through the process of learning each other as adults like you guys did. So, I mean, I learned a lot.
Yeah, definitely. What do you think, I think just in general, now that we are married and you speak about these different issues that we have, it's constantly and consciously every day waking up and deciding like, okay, we're going to work on this today. Right. Because the work never stops in a marriage. It's always constantly not thinking about only yourself, but thinking about your spouse. Right. When you do have children, because you don't have children yet, then we're going to have little mannies running around here too. Well, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you so much for opening up and being transparent. I think this is what our community needs so much more of. It's just people letting you know how it really is.
There we go.
All
Thanks
right?
for having us.
Couch Conversations. Thank y'all for joining us.
The issue comes in when we got married. Splitting the money is only done when it's convenient for her, right? Just women in general is how I believe it. As a man,
I just know you're gonna get some heat for that. I feel the heat coming through the camera right now. I feel it.
I'm a dodger. So hear me.